Welcome back everyone, I'm Craven and this is Trails to Azure. We are of course in Crossbell. We just did our rounds, learned what everybody thought about the whole Dieter wants to be independent kind of thing with Arios. And right now we're going to the Bracer Guild to see what's up. And yes, after that we're gonna pay a small visit to the cathedral. Just to check on one thing. You all said that there might be something there, but first, the guild.
ごめんください。
失礼します。
あなたたち。
いや、ロイドたちか。やれやれ。揃いも揃ってしけた面並べてんな。
余計なお世話だと。まあ否定はせん。
よりにもよってなんでアリオスさんが寝耳に水すぎるよ。本当にそんな気配は全然なかったものね。強いて言うならオルキスタワーを訪れることが最近多かったくらいかしら。
Well, I think in the end there would be a good reason for him to do it, or maybe he was coerced into it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe he needed money to pay for Suzuku's operations and all that kind of stuff. There is a reason behind it, not just for trying to protect Crossbell, because he could do that as being part of the Bracer Guild. Why specifically working under Dieter? That's a valid question. I know it's also a part of appearance, but that would be more from Dieter's perspective instead of Ariel's. But Dieter needs somebody that's like a face of somebody that's extremely strong in Crossbell to spearhead the protection of everything, so people have faith in it, and also to other nations that, oh, he is there, so it has to be well organized. But there's no incentive for Arios to doing that, based on what we know so far. So I agree, there is something weird there, but we'll just have to figure out what it is.
そうね。あくまで今後のギルドの対応を協議しに行ってたはずだけど、まさかこんな段取りを話し合っていたなんて。
実はそのあたりをお聞きしたくて来たんです。アリオスさんはまだギルドに所属してるんですか？
昨夜いきなり辞表を出して遊撃士のエンブレムを返してきたわ。持っていた仕事は全部片付けて、今後の対応策も出してくれたのはいかにも彼らしいけど。
So he still cares about the Bracer Guild and the work they do, or else he wouldn't have finished all his work and give them a plan on moving forward without him. Again, a bit weird.
そうだったんですか。確かにアリオスさんらしい几帳面さですね。
だがこのように唐突に辞めるのはさすがに問題だろう。しかもクロスベル独立国の国防軍長官などと。
こう言ってはなんだけど、エレボニアの反応が怖いわね。
Well, considering everything that happened, there's only one response I can expect, especially when it comes with the Ironblood Chancellor, and not just Erebonian, Calvard as well. It will be force.
資産凍結なんていう脅迫すらしてしまっている状態だし。そうだね。共和国の反応も怖いな。
だがアリオスさんの気持ちも理解できないわけじゃない。
スコット。
どういうこと？
俺もアリオスさんと同じクロスベル市の出身だが、確かに演説にもあったような原因不明の不可解な事故は年に 1,2 回は起きていたんだ。本当のことはわからないけど、皆帝国か共和国絡みで起きたことだとは薄々感じていた。
それは
まあここ最近はそうした事故は起きてないが、5年前アリオスさんの奥さんと雫ちゃんが巻き込まれた事故が最後と言えるかもしれないな。
あ、ひょっとして
5年前に表通りで起きた運搬車の爆発炎上事故。 当初はオーバルエンジンの暴走と可燃性の積み荷が原因とされたけど、そしてその事故に巻き込まれて奥さんのさやさんは亡くなり。
そういう顛末だったのかよ。
断片的な情報はある程度は聞いていましたが、それでアリオスさんは警察を辞めてギルドに移って。
私もアリオスとはその後からの付き合いだけど、彼一言も言わなかったけどずっと引っかかってたんでしょうね。そう考えると今回の大役を引き受けたのも
ミシェルさん、失礼は承知で尋ねますが、アリオスさんのスケジュールで不審な点はありませんでしたか？
え？
ロイド君、どういうこと？
国防軍の司令長官、いきなり引き受けるにはあまりに重すぎる役目だと思います。多分ビータ市長、いや大統領との間で根回しがされていたんじゃないですか？それも最近ではなくしばらく前から。
ミシェル？
まさか本当なのか？
確かに行き先など報告と食い違っていることはたまにあったわ。あれだけ仕事を抱えてたら当然だとは思ってたけど、考えてみればアリオスが報告を間違うなんて不自然極まりないのよね。
それじゃあそうした時間にディーター市長とコンタクトを？
その可能性は考えられるかもしれない。ロイド君さすがね。怖いくらいの洞察力だわ。
Well, Lloyd is good at what he does. Better than me, at least.
いえ、失礼なことを言ってすみません。失礼ついでにお聞きしますけど、そうしたアリオスさんの行き先やスケジュールの食い違い、半年以上前で覚えはありませんか？
半年以上前って、まだディーターさんが市長にもなっていませんが。
そこまで前だとさすがに覚えてないんだけど。
So is Lloyd's suggesting that it was even planned much further ago, even to the point that it made Dieter mayor in the first place? Which, let's be honest, did plan for the first step towards that Declaration of Independence. Would that mean that Dieter might be even deeper involved in the storyline from Zero than we previously thought? Very interesting way of thinking about it, definitely.
あ、でもあれがあったか。
あれ？
創立記念祭の最終日よ。彼仕事でレミフェリアに出張することになってたんだけど、それを急遽キャンセルしたのを報告し損なってたのよ。後で気づいて聞いてみたら、忙しくて報告し損なったって言ってたけど、何か気になるの？
まあ、あの記念祭は殺人的な忙しさだったし。
報告に齟齬があったとしても無理もないと思うが。
記念祭の最終日。最終日といえば。
それがどうつながってるんだ？
わからない。でも何かつながりそうな気がする。今まで俺たちが忙しさのあまり見過ごしていた点と点が。すみません、失礼します。はい、こちらクロスベル警察特務支援課で。
Ooh, usually when he breaks off the section, it's something very important.
クロスベル国防軍特務支援課の間違いじゃないのか？
Not yet. We haven't heard anything from our chief yet.
あなたは？
さて私は誰でしょう？正解された方には漏れなく豪華景品を。
くだらないクイズは結構です。一体どの面を下げてクロスベルにやってきたんですか？
やれやれ、嫌われたもんだな。 派手なことになってるみたいだが、ちょっと会って話せないか。ま、損はさせないと思うぜ。
Yeah, I think it will be, definitely.
わかりました。どこに行けばいいんですか？
Geofront near station?
クリムゾン商会、いや、元ルバーチェ商会と言った方がいいか。
Well, it is vacant at the moment, so it's as good a place as any. No prying eyes and such.
あそこの会長室にするか。
地下のあそこですか？
そんじゃ、待ってるぜ。
もしかして行方不明のザオ氏とか？そういえばこの前ランディさんがいなくなった時
そうだったのか。
いや、違う。帝国軍のレクター大尉だ。
あの人またクロスベルに来ていたんですか？
確かにどの面下げてって感じだな。
どうやら旧ルバーチ商会で話があるみたいだ。赤い星座とのつながりを考えるととても油断はできないけど、行くだけ行ってみよう。
I think this might be the moment that we're gonna get a confirmation that the Ironblood Chancellor, Osborne, is not connected to the raid, and then they're gonna start to think, who else could be involved? And since everything might have been planned like almost 6 months beforehand, what if Dieter was it? Our second suspect. I could still be wrong, but the more time passes, the more I'm moving away from Osborne and moving towards Dieter for the suspect on the financier of the entire raid of Crossbell.
だな。
虎穴にいらずんば。準備だけは万全にした方が良さそうね。
あなたたちも大変そうね。
どうやら面倒な相手とやり合うみたいだな。
情報局のアランドールか。恐ろしく厄介な若造らしいが。
厳しそうなら助立ちするから遠慮なく言ってよ。
Yeah, but yes, he does work for Osborne, but I do feel that Lecter has some level of honor to him. I don't know why, but it does feel like that. You know, like he plays his own game too. But as a spy, you never know, do you?
そうね。湿地帯での借りもあるし。ありがとうございます。手に負えなさそうだったらぜひ力を貸してください。
I can believe Arias was fudging a schedule to meet with the mayor or president, whatever. I noticed his report were a little funky here and there, yet I still let it happen right under my nose. He must have been hung on that accident Saya and Shizuku were caught in all this time. Probably, maybe, definitely. Well, Crossbell blood runs through my veins too, so I get how Arias feels. Still, I didn't think he'd resign from the guild for something like this. Brooding over it won't change anything though. Now that he's gone, the rest of us Brazen need to pick up the slack. Yes. And normally I would say the SSS will be there to assist, but after today, I don't even know if the SSS still does exist. Yeah, so let's make the most out of today as we can with our official title that we still have. Oh, I wonder how Remifair is going to respond to Crossbell's Declaration of Independence. Prince Albert is a wise man, so he surely puts what's best for his people first. I had better touch base with Saint Ursula about this. The guild is going to need to figure out how to handle the situation as well. That they definitely do. I won't mince words. The Empire is going to hold its tongue after an address like that. They're almost certainly planning to retaliate. That is, if they haven't already begun to do so. Arundel's call to the SSS pertains to that somehow, more likely than not. Yeah, Calvard is probably taking the same steps over on their end too. And who knows where the church stands in all this? We need to make sure we're ready for anything. Very true, very true. And yes, I am hoping that Lecter, with whatever he's gonna tell us, is it about Osborne not being involved, or an incoming attack, that we can do something with that to guide the path to a little bit better location than where it is right now. Because with the Declaration of Independence, I can see war coming from two sides to Crossbell. And from what we've known, what we have seen about what they have for defenses, it will not be enough. So, and this has been said in some comments as well, they must be hiding something. I mean, Dieter, in form of a defense, because you don't do something this bold and freezing the asset without having a backup. Arios alone, he's good. He is not that good. But yeah, like I said, I'm very curious about everything that's gonna happen next. Can you tell? Arios, he's still on the list. About to get removed. Alright, yes, before we move forward, what we want to do is, of course, like I said before, head to the cathedral and see what we can find out before we head to the back streets. Because we might have a little visitor at the grave of our dear brother guy. And there he is. Alright. Good thing it was mentioned. Good thing we checked. Because this might be for some extra points. And I never want wanna miss points. Mr. Nielsen. Ah, is that you, Lloyd? Well, this grave belongs to Lloyd's older brother. You were here to visit him, weren't you? That's right. There was something I wanted to speak with Guy about. You wanted to talk to my brother? Yes, I wish to tell him about the raid, the Declaration of Independence and President Croix' speech. The people of Crossbell are facing a singular direction, irrespective of their own personal emotions. It is for that reason that I am opting to go against the grain and ponder the darkness of the past instead. Darkness of the past? Do you mean? Yes, I do. I'm referring to the murder of your older brother, Detective Guy Bennings. I beg your pardon? Guy's death? Where is this coming from? And why now? Or are you saying there's never been a more perfect time? What exactly is that to you? No, Mr. Nielsen. Lloyd, Special Support Section. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like for us to head elsewhere so we can review that case together. How does that sound? Of course we'll agree. It's involving his brother, of course he will be there. Alright, if you're willing to, then so are we. Thank you for your cooperation. It just happens that I have the perfect place in mind. Let's make our way back to the city. The library? We've been there a couple of times, also with Nielsen. Ooh. This place will do as well. Out of curiosity, Mr. Nielsen, why come to Garante specifically? 3 years ago, Guy and I agreed to meet here for another one of our friendly exchanges of information. I was shortly before that meeting when I learned of his death. That explains it. The secret behind the cult incident, the arrest of the Imperial and Republican faction Diet members, the election of a new mayor, the inaugural meeting of the West Samaria Trade Conference and the raid on Crossbell City. And now, Declaration of Crossbellan Independence. Which each of these events may appear isolated on the surface, in truth, they are closely intertwined. In other words, they are all pieces of a much larger puzzle. A larger puzzle? Really? Yes. Were one to unpack the bigger picture behind them, the rest of the pieces would surely fall into place. Doing so should shed new light on the murder of Guy Bennings. That is why I propose this case a review. I understand, however, if you'd rather spare yourself the heartache, Lloyd. No, I'm alright. Lloyd, Are you certain of that? Don't forget, time isn't exactly on our side today. We should get this show on the road. That's perfectly fine with me. So let us begin then. First and foremost, we should examine the conditions under which Guy's body was discovered. It was a rainy day 3 years ago at Orcus Tower's construction site. Time of death was estimated to be just past dawn, though the body was not discovered until later that night. As for the cause of death, it was hemorrhagic shock. A bullet from an orbital gun pierced him from behind, straight through the heart. Does that sound correct? Yes, that's right. He was shot in the back? Damn, what the hell? Now, let us reconstruct the scene of the crime, at the time of his body was found. To begin, there were signs of fierce struggle throughout the area. However, the only physical evidence left behind was Guy's body itself. Not only was his favorite pair of tonfas absent from the locus delectae, but the CPD badge that he so proudly wore on his chest was missing as well. I have to come to understand that this badge was recently recovered. Is it true that it was taken by the member of the organized crime syndicate known as Ravash? Yes, it was found in Marconi's office. He later confirmed it. The mafioso in question even confessed to lifting the badge off his body after the cult incident was resolved. I see. However, that was, as you said, after the fact. As far as eyewitnesses go, there were none. At the time, construction work had been suspended, and no staff were present at the site. The time of day and environmental factors were also unfavorable. It was the break of dawn in the midst of a blustery thunderstorm. Because of that, there was no reason for anyone to approach the scene, much less witness the actual murder. To make matters worse, Guy never informed anyone of where he was heading prior to the incident, and that is why my trail goes cold. What you just heard is entirely of what I've managed to gather these past 3 years. That is, unless you have anything to add, Lloyd. No, I don't think so. You covered everything I knew too. Mr. Nielsen's penchant for gathering information never ceases to amaze. Yes, though in this case it would seem Guy was not just a source to him but a dear friend as well. That may explain why he has such a vested interest in a cold case like this. Very well. Why don't we move on to the case review then? If we're to unravel this mystery, we must first carefully consider our potential culprits. The obvious place to start would be to go over the most likely suspects, namely Ravash and the DG cult. Do you believe that either of them might be the perpetrator, Lloyd? No, I don't think so. I think that Marconi did lift the badge from his body, but I don't think that his men were responsible for it. And the DG cult was practically annihilated because of them. It doesn't sound logical. So I would guess it couldn't be either of them. No, it couldn't have been either of them. As far as the Mafia goes, Marconi denied that he and his men were responsible. Of course, his words only means so much on its own. But Joachim told us although he arranged for Ravash to kill my brother, they failed. Garcia Rossi admitted to him when Marconi tried to take credit. There's also no evidence that any of their subordinates were behind their backs to carry out the hit. Not only that, but Guy was also already investigating both the Mafia and Joachim. His defense were up. He would have never put himself in a position where either of them could make an attempt on his life. I just can't fathom that being the case. Gotta agree, chances are very slim. Everything we've come to learn about the dude says he wasn't just ballsy, he was a damn good detective too. That he was. I could never believe for a second that he died fighting the Mafia or the cult. I feel the same way myself. The elements of this case would appear to point elsewhere. The theory may have held water prior to the cult incident, but at this point we can surely rule out both Ravash and the cult. So let's move down the list. Could he have been assassinated on behalf of one of the two major powers? by a DAI member from the Imperial or the Republican faction same, or one of the government officials they aligned with, or perhaps a foreign intelligence officer. Do you think it's possible that guy's killer might fit into any of these categories? I'm beginning to think that the game is trying to point the way towards Dieter being the one responsible for all of this. Can you imagine if he was the one responsible for Guy's death? So it's not very likely? No, I think that's pretty unlikely. It's true that there have always been corrupt officials within Crossbell with ties to the two major powers, and that is also true that my brother was quick to push against the injustices they committed. Plus, we can now say for certain that spies from both countries were making frequent visits to Crossbell around that time. But as much as I believe in my brother, he wasn't in a real position to touch them. They couldn't have viewed him as a serious threat. Unfortunately, you're probably right. As much as I hate to admit it, either nation could apply tremendous pressure on the CPD through the state government if they really wanted to. Especially under the old administration when Guy was alive, it would have been far too easy. Yeah, it just doesn't fit. Why go the effort of luring out and killing one, single detective when bureaucratic red tape is effective enough as it is? A high risk, low reward maneuver like that just wouldn't have been worth it, no matter how much of a thorn in their side he was. Well, let's just say, I'm just talking hypothetical here, and that Lloyd bro was in contact with one of those guys. He still wouldn't walk into an obvious trap. It's the same deal as the Mafia. I concur. Impressively deducted. I have nothing more to say on the subject. With that, let's move on to our final possibilities. Out of the sizable pool of potential suspects given, eliminated every one of them so far. Tell me, who else do you suppose could fit the profile of Guy's killer? Definitely not. Someone from Ouroboros? I wouldn't see why. Because they're standing at the side for most of the things that are happening. Just seeing how it plays out and if they need to assist at some point. A personal acquaintance? Guy was still wary about them, no doubt, but it had to have been someone he knew well. That's the only answer that fits. You serious? And what brings you to that conclusion? Well, first of all, Guy never revealed to anyone where he was going beforehand. That leads me to believe that he was confident in his ability to handle the situation alone. The only reason he would have felt that way is if he were meeting someone he knew personally. That is true. Whether the guy was asked to go or whether the meeting was, his idea is impossible to say. But consider where they met, an empty construction site. Clearly whatever they planned to discuss was important. They didn't want anybody to hear what they were about to talk to. It's possible the conversation went sideways, that it broke down the point of no return. Maybe that's why the killer took his life. And what conversation would that be? Honestly, I don't have a single clue. But whatever it was, it cost him his life. And that means it was grave enough to silence him over. I don't use the word lightly, but it might have been linked to a deeper conspiracy of some kind. A conspiracy? When we began this interview, you said that unpacking the bigger picture could shed new light on the case. At that moment, I felt that something clicked way back in my mind. Did you know? Well, I can't get past the idea that my brother was closing in on some kind of secret plot. A plot concocted by somebody connected to the DG cult, the Mafia, the Empire, and the Republic. Yet, also separated from them. Whoever it was, they couldn't allow Guy to interfere, and chances are that conspiracy is still alive and well to this day. Doesn't it sound like the most logical explanation? Connected yet also separate? And you say this conspiracy is still ongoing? Well, it's hard to draw any other conclusion. The killer is at large after all. That fact alone is enough to tell me that Whatever they killed the guy over is a long ways from settled. Mr. Nielsen? Sorry, was that too far-fetched? No, not at all. I think your reasoning is perfectly sound. Let me ask you this, Lloyd. As we were reviewing this case, did any particular suspect come to mind? One who could in theory have called Guy out at construction site and murder him 3 years ago? No, unfortunately not. To his credit, Guy was popular. Even if we narrow it down to those he knew personally, that's still a lot of people. There are also 2 other key details. His back was turned when it happened and his tonsils were removed from the scene afterwards. I suspect that both of those facts are vital to figuring out what really happened that day. Then again, if that evidence alone was enough to identify the killer, the First Division would have solved this case 3 years ago. That's a fair assessment. Unfortunately, not every clue has been revealed and so the culprit cannot yet be identified. However, do you think think one thing has made itself very clear? The only person who can uncover those final missing pieces and solve this puzzle is you, Lloyd. Mr. Nielsen. Right, and I intend to do just that. Glad to hear it. It is strange. I suddenly feel as though I've made good on my promise to share intel with Kai here 3 years ago. I owe you all my deepest gratitude for indulging me with this review session. Oh, not at all. If anything, we should be the ones thanking you for this. You're too kind. Now, if you'll excuse me, I greatly anticipate hearing about your future exploits, SSS. Yeah, it's not our decision, but if we can help it, we will not disband by the new regime. I get the sense that Mr. Nielsen was hoping to help us more than the other way around. You might be onto something, Theo. Keeping his promise to my brother may have been his real goal. I'm glad we took the time to speak with him. I can't help but agree. You said it. Now, come on, let's get cracking. All those hashing outs got me fired up. Yeah, next up, the Don's room in the old Ravash building. It's time to see what information we can drag out of Lecter. Quest completed. Oh, someone booked our club for an independence party the moment the announcement was made. I've never really understood politics, but hey, as long as we're getting happy customers in, that's good enough for me, I suppose. That's definitely one reason to look at it. Alright, let's get in there.
もう誰もいないみたいだな。
警察でも施錠だけして放置していたはずですが。
わざわざ呼びつけたってことはピッキングでもしやがったか。
とにかく入ってみましょう。
The wrong way has just been closed. Ah.
どうやら先に来ているみたいですね。
ああ、慎重に降りてみよう。
Alright. It is totally emptied out.
「帝国軍情報局所属レクター・アランドールか。油断できる相手じゃない。入るなら覚悟を固めよう。
Do you expect fighting, Lloyd? Cause it's Lecter, unless he's been forced to, we shouldn't be able to fight. Ooh. Okay, that gave me a little, I won't say scare, but hesitation. Is there anything else we want to do here? I think we did find everything we need to. And we also got the extra interview with Nielsen, so that's really good as well. The only thing we could say is maybe a better quad setup, but we did that pretty well already. It's not perfect, definitely not. So let's just report the one we just completed. This is the Crossbell Police Department. Please hold while we review your reports. Alright. Your reports have been processed. Thank you for your continued service. Alright. Alright, so the other thing that we can... Oh, no. Downtown district. Then we can check. And if it is interesting, I can work it in between the episodes just in order to grind it out and get it. Because usually when we go for a trade here at the store, it is usually a few things that are not very common. So let's see what they have. And I'm mostly curious to see if there is anything that requires the very rare fish that we have. A sleepy cat coin. I don't see anything here that's outright necessary. Hmm, 10% evade. Don't know if you will be able to pack a double evergreen if you want to. And with the money that we have, we can easily extend that to 80k and just buy an evergreen instead of making it through here. Yeah, so just better versions of things we can get. Definitely interesting. Alright, and since that specific warning we got when we got in there, I think I'm going to leave the episode here. It's a little bit of a shorter one than normally, but right now what I can do is I can check a little bit more around town, see if there is a little bit things different with text by people, and maybe if there is more hidden quest. I don't think so, because we talked to everyone and we went to the separate way where people said there was something. So I'm pretty sure we have everything we need. And other than that, I might be able to grind a little bit extra, mix my quartz up a little bit more, all that kind of stuff. And next time when we go through the door, because the game said some time may pass, you won't have access to stores, items, or all that kind of stuff, I think then we can start with that on the next episode. So for now, I wish you a great night, morning, day, wherever you are. And if you're still here, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and be back next time as we head through that door and see what Lecter has to tell us. It's definitely going to be interesting, I can guarantee you that. So until then, bye bye.